This is Pat Matthews of Pat Matthews Productions, and I want to welcome you to Beatles-orama TV, your favorite interviews and video all in one place, right here on Beatles-orama TV. Beatles-orama TV is on the air.
Hi, everybody. I'm James D. Jones of the Magical Mystery Tour, Beatle Years and Beyond for Beatles-orama Radio and TV. And today I've got an extra special treat for you. I have the one and only American English, the Complete Beatles Experience tribute band. And it consists
that I will love everything that you do, and I do. Hey, 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 and I do. So I never realized what I do.
And it consists of James Paul Lynch. How you doing, James?
Hello.
Dom Rossi.
Hello, how are you?
Jason Miner.
Hello, everyone.
And the one and only, I'm going to slaughter your last name, Jim. Jim Isery, right?
All right, close enough.
How's it pronounced correctly?
Irizarry.
Irizarry. Okay, very good. All right. Well, American English, the Complete Beatles Experience. We are joined by a band that just doesn't play the Beatles. They study them, they embody them, and they bring their entire musical journey to life on stage. Newsweek magazine has labeled American English as the best Beatles tribute band on planet Earth. Wow, that is a big title. Welcome to the show, guys. How are you today?
Thanks.
Great to be
Thanks for having us.
Fantastic. Oh, happy to have you. Thank you for your time. Now, speaking of Newsweek magazine, James Paul, we'll go to you first. Newsweek called American English the best Beatles tribute band on planet Earth. Now, when you hear that, does it feel more like validation or more like responsibility?
Well, definitely responsibility, and people use that quote a lot. I still have the article. It's pretty cool to see it. And it was kind of a story of different Beatles tributes and Beatles type shows that you can find around the world. And we were flabbergasted to see that. But it's definitely responsibility because we're all just Beatles fans. Every one of us is just a Beatles fan that grew up loving the Beatles and wanting to learn music using that medium. Probably never dreaming we'd end up doing this and then it becoming what it has become for us and other bands that do this type of show. But for us to see and hear something like that or get that kind of vote means there's a lot of work to be done to make sure that we're singing the songs that people want to hear and singing them the way that they should be sung and playing the music correctly. I mean, we'll get into all of that, but it's definitely a responsibility and a love. It's a love for this music, for those left that did what they did and gave it to us. It's an important gift that we feel the need to honor and do correctly.
It's truly a passion.
Oh, yes,
without a doubt. Now, Jim, we'll go to you next.
Okay.
There are Beatles tribute bands everywhere. I mean, you can see them all over the place, but there are very few that attempt to faithfully recreate every era, like from the Cavern Club days to Sgt. Pepper. At what point, Jim, does the tribute stop being imitation and start being more historical preservation?
Well, all of us, I think, have studied the real thing, and you can find almost anything on YouTube, the Beatles and Beatles live and in the studio and elsewhere. And, we just try to be true to the sound and, the character and characterizations and, everybody's out there doing it. I kind of don't like the word best anything, I mean, there's room for everyone to contribute their thing, but we do it our way and we try to do it as accurately as possible.
Well, I always heard that you like Pete best, but that's another story for another day.
What's that? Oh, We won't
Well,
go there.
well, I'll tell you what, I have been involved with American English as a fan starting in the mid 80s.
Wow.
And yeah, and we grew such a great relationship that when I got into radio, I started emceeing a lot of American English concerts. And then next thing I know, I'm no longer emceeing them. I'm actually putting them together. And I've been working with American English. Well, this is our 20th anniversary of the All You Need Is Love concert.
Wow.
And with that being said, what do you say we talk right now, real quick? We got a concert coming up, guys.
Yes, we do.
And February 14th, it's a Saturday. It's Valentine's Day.
All right,
And it's
all
gonna
the
be-
sweethearts and all the Beatle fans.
It's going to be great. And you know, the thing is, it's an all ages show. $25 general admission tickets, $50 VIP, which gives you table seating, table of 8. You can buy 1 or 2 tickets, or you can buy a full table, but it puts you a little closer to the stage. But there's no bad seats at all in this big ballroom. And we're going to have a great time. And on top of that, for all you concert goers out there, the Quality Inn has put together a special pricing rate if you decide you want to stay the night. Get this, you can get a king size bed, queen size beds, full beds, $96.
Wow.
There you go.
But, and if that's not, let's say you got a big crowd, let's say you got 6 people in your crowd, for $10 more, you can get a suite and enjoy all the comforts and a breakfast in the morning, and it's going to be great.
Wow.
Now, we're going to have an opening act, which is a local band called the Champagne Experience. They're a great band, play the best of the 60s, 70s, 80s, and lots of yacht rock. And they're going to open up for you guys from 7 to 8. And then American English takes the stage. And then once the concert is over, we're going to have an after party, folks, at Oliver's Bar and Grill, which is inside the Quality Inn and Suites. And Champagne Experience will be the after party band as well. So we're going to have lots of fun, lots of music. So bring you, your crew, your kids, your grandparents, and everyone in between for a great night of entertainment by the one and only American English, the Complete Beatles Tribute Experience band. There you go.
Oh,
Now,
that's exciting.
yeah, it's great. And you know, Jim, I've always enjoyed your work. And I remember when you joined the band, it was very exciting. James, same thing
It
for
was
you.
for me as well, yeah.
You know, I had so many people hounding me to hire this band that James Paul was in. And next thing I know, he was in American English, and boy, did that take the heat off of me. Now, we have a couple new members to the band, and I'm very excited about this. Dom Rossi, how are you?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm great, man. And Jason Miner, congratulations and welcome to the band.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I know you've been all you guys have been making your circles in the music business. And it's good to see all 4 of you come together like this and just keep things going the way you are, and even bringing more to the stage for fans to just be wowed by. I mean, you guys are doing so great. I've heard nothing but great things. So keep up the great work. Now, let's see. Jason, I'm going to ask you a question here, all right?
All right.
Now, you guys can feel free to jump in too, but you just don't study the band's history, personalities, and evolution. What's one human detail about your Beatles that most audience wouldn't expect, but feel is essential that you get it right?
I think at least, I think one big thing for me, especially personally, is trying to really capture like what's the, how are they feeling at those different periods? Like the very early years, they're so excited to be on stage, and you know they're the biggest act in the world, and so I try to convey a lot of that like happiness, you know, joyful, just huge smile on my face, exactly like Ringo had. Once you start getting to the later years, you know, things got a little more serious, you know, between the band and just in the world itself. So you can kind of notice in some of the later years clips from Pepper and even like towards like the Rooftop and whatnot, Ringo had a more of like a serious vibe. So I try to kind of convey, I think we all try to convey, obviously, how how are they acting? How are they feeling? What was going on in the world and in their lives at that time? And how can we bring it out personally? And how can we bring that through the music as well?
Nice. Now, Jason, before we go any further, I have to ask you another question. Are you wearing the ring?
Yes, the sacrificial ring. I can't get off my finger.
Nice. See, details. I noticed that right away. Fantastic.
He'll be wearing it for the show.
Just don't paint me red. That's all I ask for. Okay.
There you go. Right. And stay clear of the window.
Yes.
Go to the window. No, don't.
So I know that it takes a lot of work and practice to get your personality, your character of the Beatle that you represent down. A lot of work, a lot of practice, a lot of practicing. How much, before you guys became this, what was the road like to becoming what you are now? We'll start with you first, Dom.
It was a lot of work. I mean, as James said earlier, we're fans first. First and foremost, we're fans. We grew up on the music. We listened to it religiously. So the first step I did was become obsessive and learn every part to as many songs as I possibly could.
Not you.
So, it was just a lot of listening, watching live footage. I had to learn how to play left-handed for this role. So, a lot of playing.
That's what I heard. You're right-handed.
Yes, naturally right-handed, yeah.
And you had to learn how to play left-handed.
Yeah, in a month.
Wow.
Really?
How was that?
Well, it was a lot of playing in front of a mirror. I knew where my hands were supposed to go, I was playing it right-handed.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of copy and paste that information to the other side of my brain. I had to stand in front of a mirror for hours on end, just trying to slowly play the notes. But, it's I wanted to do it. So I made it happen.
And you made it happen. That's the kind of dedication and passion, the people who are very serious about it, that's what they do. It's what you have to do to make this work.
It's a responsibility, I think, to keep this music alive. I think it's some of the greatest music ever written. And, we'll still be talking about it 100 years from now. So someone has to keep it going. And that's where these bands come in.
Well, and as a musician myself, I'm left-handed. But when I was growing up, left-handed guitars were customized, or you took a right-handed guitar and flipped it upside down. Yeah. And the only guitar in my house was my father's. And he's like, you're not learning that. You learn to play upside down or right-handed. So I learned to play right-handed, but it's good. But I know it takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
So dedication and passion and just being a true fan. And, you guys, let's be honest, the Beatles had visually, it was really cool because you had the two right-handed guitar players and you had the left-handed bass player. And it just looked good too.
Oh yes, it was instead of all the millions that set the Beatles apart. That's just one other small detail. Is that that Victory V is? They would say
silhouettes of the Beatles, and you can still tell it's the Beatles.
Without a doubt.
The V,
Now, Jim, I want to ask you with what you've been doing. Before you were in American English, I mean, you were doing a lot of tribute stuff as well, correct?
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
And
at
Broadway,
least
right?
two Beatle tribute bands before that, and actually three.
And you've performed on Broadway, is that correct?
Yes, with it's a national band and toured all over the world. Yes.
Fantastic. And Jason, I know you've been in a lot of bands.
Yes.
I see. You're also a guitar player as well, correct?
Yes. I'm a drummer first and foremost, but I'm also a guitarist. And I've played in Beatles. Actually, Dom and I were in a Beatles band together where he was George and I was Ringo. So I've done that. And I've played in classic rock bands and rockabilly groups and jazz groups and orchestras and all of that. So I've had I've been very lucky over my life to play in a wide variety of great groups, playing a wide variety of styles.
And
Yeah,
James Paul, I know that you have been in a lot of various roles. What Beatles have you portrayed in your career?
Well,
everyone's on Ringo.
starting with Pete and moving. Oh, you know what? It's true. Because I learned to play music through the lens of the Beatles. So as a little guy, 5, 6, 7 years old, first put a guitar in my hand. Well, I should say when my father first put a guitar in my hand. That was it. I mean, I love all sorts of things, but the Beatles for me was instilled for one. So I would eventually make my way around to, because I love Paul McCartney so much.
Right.
I mean, I love them all, but I'm just such a Paul. When I was young, Paul was still making records and writing hits, and he was on the radio with My Brave Face and
Right.
third album, and to me it was an amazing time to be learning music, and it was very mysterious to me. So I ended up portraying Paul McCartney for a while as a young guy, and it was great. I mean, that took me around the world, literally around the world. I've been
Right.
playing that, and then I switched over to being John because people kept saying, "Hey, you look a little bit more like a John." I said, "Okay, fine." And I used to wear glasses a lot more,
Yeah.
but it wasn't until I got the call to be George Harrison that I found my true passion, because I love to play guitar,
Yeah.
and I love harmonizing, and I love harmony singing, because I grew up doing that in a musical family. And so I'll have to say, this band, and not just this particular lineup, but all of the lineups of American I've been a part of have been beautiful singers. These guys are singers almost before they're even musicians, and I love that about this band, and that's important. Beatles tribute band. I think the only other band that would be harder, would be like a Beach Boys band.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
That was the
You're gonna
big
be
thing
the
with
Beatles. You
We
gotta
were
know
a
how
big
Yeah.
vocal
to be
band.
George Harrison.
Yeah.
Well, and I've also seen you've done Eric Clapton
Yes.
from time to time. So, and then Jim, let me ask you: have you always just been John, or have you done anything else?
As a Beatle, just John. That was, just fit for me, and
Yeah.
my favorite Beatle. And it's been an honor and a pleasure, and go on. But I mean, I do other styles of music. That's the thing about us all. All four of us, we really love that retro stuff. Going
Yeah.
back to the '50s and Elvis and Johnny Cash and
Oh yeah.
and all through the '60s, and collectively, we just love that music, and of course the Beatles. I think that's our favorite. So
Yeah.
what
Well,
we
and the
do.
reason why I bring it up, and I wanted to talk about all you guys and what you've done, is to bring it full circle that your passion for music and musicianship and being authentic just didn't happen by accident, but rather by lots of years of dedication and hard work. And here we are today. So, as a fan of American English and obviously a fan of the Beatles music, I'd like to personally say thank you to American English for all that you guys do. Keep up the great work.
You're welcome.
All right. So with that, let's go to the next question. James Paul, we'll go with you. Many tribute bands, from what I've seen, they chase that look, or they chase the sound. How do you balance technical accuracy with something harder to define, the spirit or emotional energy of the Beatles live performances?
Yeah. Perfect question. Perfect for us, because that's exactly our goal. That's our mission statement. For us, it wouldn't feel right if we were just like a cover band wearing Hawaiian shirts, and not that there's anything wrong with that. We love everybody's got their spirit and what they bring to it.
Right.
For us, we're so committed to this being a show. It's kind of like Kiss. When I see interviews about Kiss, and they said, we wanted to make a band that would be the kind of band we would all want to see as fans. And that's how they kind of came up with that's exactly how we think of our Beatles tribute. is what would we want to see if we were sitting in that seat listening? What songs do we want to hear? What kind of show do we want? And that's our attitude. And so we're as much actors, we try anyway, as much actors as we are musicians. I mean, it is so important to us to get every little thing as right as we can. But you will find, and this is not necessarily unique to us, but it's definitely important to us. There's always a tiny element of the real us in each of our. So we're not just putting on a facade of, oh, I'm George Harrison today, and this
Right.
George. There's always going to be that bit of authenticity because James is just there. You know, JP is just behind that character, and it's that weird ground where you find just enough of yourself, but you're still doing it through the lens of George or John or whoever you are.
Mm-hmm.
That brings certain realism somehow to the audience, and it's like a chemistry or a charisma that kind of comes through, and you could feel it. You could feel it on stage between us. You could feel it with the crowd. That's when you know you've hit a certain magic, and that's we're just absolutely obsessed with that energy, that crowd energy back and forth between fans and us. Amazing. And when we great shows, James, I tell you, and the All You Need Is Love shows have been my favorites, right at the top of my list that I've been in this band. And of course, they're great old friends, but there's something about your shows because you know how to bring that magic out of a crowd and you know how to warm them up. And then when we hit the stage, we always try to do something different, a little special for your shows. And it's exactly what we're going to do in February.
Oh, good. And, you know, oddly enough, you guys, this is our 20th anniversary of the All You Need Is Love Valentine's Day concert featuring American English. 20 years.
Wow.
You know, I mean, you're lucky if you get 1 or 2 shows in, really. But when you got to the, you know, the 5-year mark, you're like, wow, I can't believe it. 5 years. And you get the 10-year mark, you're like, I can't believe how we've been. And then 15, you're like, how long will this carry on? And then next thing you know, it's the 20th anniversary. And this show is going to be extra special, not only because American English is bringing that kind of energy to the Quality Inn and Suites on Valentine's Day, but also the crowd has evolved with you guys as well. They're celebrating their 20 years of coming here and enjoying the show as well. So it's going to be great. It's going to be absolutely great. Now, Jim, I'll go to you next. The Beatles, they just stopped touring before they stopped evolving musically. So when you move from the early Mop Top era to the Sgt. Pepper era on the same night, how do you mentally and musically shift to fall into that?
See, I'm a pepper. Look at that. All right. Anyway, well, it's pretty easy, I think, for us in the respect that, you know, we're such fans and the love of the music and all the different eras. You know, I love that variety. I was in a Beatles tribute that just did mostly early, and I, you know, got a bit bored after a while. But you know, this has everything. We do everything in the show, you know, and even a few solo songs, you know, after the Beatles. So I think for all of us, we can kind of just slip into these different eras pretty easily, you know, and then take on the characterizations, and we dig the music all the way through, you know, and you can see it. You just love it.
Now, as a musician myself, the early songs, there's a lot of 3-chord wonders in there. But as the Beatles have evolved, the music became a little more involved, a little more, I don't want to say complicated, but it wasn't as, there's more to it than the 3-chord wonder songs. How would you guys describe the early Mop Top songs versus going into as they evolved? Is it harder? Is it more detailed? We'll go with you, Dom.
You know, pre-Revolver, I kind of call the Beatles like a pure rock band. You can get away with 4 guys on a stage hammering out rock songs, high energy. But once you get into say like Sgt. Pepper,
Mhm.
their creative flow started to change, right? So things became more complicated, like you said. And with that being said, it becomes a little more difficult to pull off live, which is why we've got our, outstanding keyboard player Richard with us.
Yes.
But yeah, that's kind of. I'm sorry, I kind of got off track. What was the main?
Well, the evolving from the cavern early
Yeah.
mop top days going in as they evolved, the music I think became, I don't want to say complicated, but became more intricate. Is that a better way of putting it?
It took a more personal note around Revolver. Think of like In My Life, the lyrical context of In My Life. You're absolutely right. It took a far more, personal, intricate turn.
And they were using the studio
Yes.
as an experimenting zone, doing tricks that no one else have ever done.
Yes.
Now they're being used all the time today.
Yeah.
But this was all analog. Don't forget. So
Right.
it became far more. You can pull that off now live, and thank goodness we can. Otherwise, this wouldn't be possible.
Right.
But then I'm sure listening to those records as they came out, look at Tomorrow Never Knows with the artificial double tracking and the tape loops, or
Yes.
Mr. for example, from Sgt. Pepper.
Yeah.
It must have been mind blowing.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
So there definitely is an evolution of where they started,
Yes.
where they were mid-career, and where they were towards the end of the Beatles' time. And a lot of great music, a lot of great albums. And the music is just the harmonies, the guitar work. I mean, And Your Bird Can Sing. The guitar licks on that is amazing. It's almost like harmonics, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were
I've seen you played it, James.
yes.
Both parts at once.
I have to play it by myself.
Fitting to that.
Yeah, that would.
Well,
when they put it on the set list, I think, oh no, okay, I all week.
well, I tell you what, you guys do such a fantastic job. Now, Jim, I'm going to go to you. You guys have been promoted by some really respectable Beatles historians, and one of them was a dear friend of mine, and I'm sure a good friend of you guys as well, Sam Leach.
Oh.
And I mean, what he said about American English speaks volumes, even to this day, where he said lightning strike twice, once with the Beatles, once with American English. With that kind of recognition from people who were there, how important is it that credibility within the Beatles scholarship community to you? Does that ever influence like your creative choices? Like, they're expecting this. Do you double think it? Do you overthink it? Or do you just been doing it so long that it's like breathing?
Well, that's quite a generous comment there. Compliment, I think I want to say. I was after unfortunately, after the Sam Leach years.
Yeah.
I came in a little later, but it's quite an honor that he said, that. But
Yeah. And, Sam was a great guy. He was a personal friend of mine. In fact, I called him Leachy. Just out of habit, they're just, hey, Leachy. And I can tell you a story. One time, Sam used to give me such a hard time because I would drive him around in Chicago. And we asked directions, and this one woman gave us directions, and it was totally wrong. We ended up finally going where we needed to be, and Sam told everyone in the brother, James, you should never listen to a woman giving you directions. That's just all there is to it. And he was just giving me so much trouble, but I loved it because it was all play, But I can tell you a story where one time he was saying something, and my instant response, without even thinking, was, I said to him, like, what are you, daft, Leachy? And he turned like pale white. And I'm like, uh-oh, did I just offend him? I'm like, what's going on? He's like, oh my God. He goes, I just had a moment. I'm like, what? I said, I'm sorry if I offended you. He goes, no, 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 no. He's like, you did well. He goes, the way you said that to me, the last person that said that exact same phrase to me was John Lennon. What are you, Daft Leachy? And I'm like, well, I guess I'm in good company then. But Sam was a great guy, and he really loved and believed in American English. And many shows together, many shows. I'm an old school American English guy, and, you know, I love what you guys achieve on stage. Now, you guys see the audience from the stage. I see the audience from the side and inside the audience, and I also see it from the side of the stage. And what I really love is when you see that one person and they got their eyes closed and they're going somewhere magical.
Yeah.
When they're listening to you guys. And I always thought, how cool would it be to find out where they're going because of the music, how it moves people. So you guys move a lot of people. I always tell folks, American English, they have the look, they've got the sound, and they have the absolute vibe of the Beatles.
The vibe.
So
yeah,
keep up that great work, man.
Thing. That's exactly it, James. I couldn't have said it better myself, and that's what drew me as a fan, and then later to be a member of this band. Is that's what Sam Leach was talking about when he said lightning strikes twice. There's never going to be another Beatle, and we're not even close, and nobody will be. But what it meant was when you watch American English, you feel a vibe, and it's hard to name that, it's hard to describe that, but that's something that we honor, and that's what we carried forth with our founding members of this band, who we all still love and adore. And now we have taken that mantle very seriously. And as you know, James, I've been with the band working on 15 years. It's a quarter of my life that I've been a part of this band, and I take it very seriously. And I just love it. And I love these new members. I love you. And
we all love each other. That's all you need, right?
That's all.
Well, I'll tell you what, this next question, we'll start it off like this, okay? We're going to start with the John, the Paul, the George, and then the Ringo. This is the question. So we'll start with you first, Jim. When you portray John, Paul, George, and Ringo night after night, does any of their personality start to bleed into your own, or do you consciously leave that character on the stage?
Well, definitely, I leave it on the stage, you know. But it's just the love of the you know. It started with the music, you know, and we've seen the Beatles movies, and you know, I've always kind of liked you know, John's kind of devilish humor and you know, his sarcasm and his wit, and it seems a good fit for that, you know, character, and it's just been fun, you know, labor of love for us, I think, all, you know.
And the words that John wrote with Paul, of course, together, individually, there's some great songs. And 60 years later, we're still singing to them. We're still talking about them. It's amazing. Now, Dom, same question going to you. Does being the Paul character of the band ever cross over into being Dom?
Well, this is actually how I dress normally. If you didn't
okay.
know. No, actually, I make very sure, you know, just so it doesn't interfere. I have a job, you know, I got to be Dom.
Right.
But it is so fun to put on the boots and suits, as we call it, you know, and the hair and the makeup. You really start to feel like it. You feel your character, right? So, you know, out of the wig, I'm just Dom.
Yeah.
As I sort of am right now, you know.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
But no, I make a conscious effort to not let my stage personality get into my day-to-day life.
I have run into bands where the guys are always on all the time, and I love them, don't get me wrong, but there is something to be said when someone's always on all the time, because you're like, dude, just be you.
Just be you. There's no one else who can be you except you.
Now, James, with you being George, how's that been for you? Because so many people adore you as the George Harrison. How does that carry over into your personal life? Do you find yourself with reacting to some of George's likes and music and stuff?
Yeah, it's impossible not to. I mean, you've read stories about Austin Butler and what he went through to become Elvis for that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, when you live in that frame and you read the biographies and you watch the videos, it's like character acting. It's going to affect you a little bit. However, as Dom said, it's very healthy to make sure you draw a line. I mean, you know, my wife will get silly questions like, does he wear the wig at home? You know, it's like that, you know.
Please, I'm actually in my pajamas right here. You see,
you can't help but take on the mantle a little bit, and it does kind of become part of who you are. But at the end of the day, we all write and record our own music. We all have our own lives, our own families. We're not like delusional. We just love it. It's just a true love for this type of
it's a fun job. It's a fun job. You get paid to have so much fun.
Yeah. To add on to what James said, you know, I sometimes find myself talking in a slight Scouse accent on some words.
Oh, yes.
When I'm not doing my thing. I was like, oh, hey, I'm not supposed to be doing that. I'm not following.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like my grandfolks, I think James knows a little bit of my history. My grandfolks had come from Scotland, and they had come through Nova Scotia, and I was basically their interpreter growing up because they raised me. They were my parents, and there's a rhythm to Scouse, you know, and it's very rhythmic. I'm very fast.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, what did your grandma just say? I'm like, she said, go, like, if you're saying something like, go to the door and bolt the door, you know, it would be like, you know, hey, laddie, go to the door and bolt it, you know? And I'd be like, what? She wants you to lock the door. That's what she's saying. So, Jason, see, I never knew you were a drummer first. I always saw you as a guitar player. So taking on Ringo night after night, talk to me about that magic.
I mean, really, so I started playing drums when I was 8 because I loved Ringo so much and I was so influenced by Ringo. We actually had just a little bit of a drum kit downstairs, and so my mom showed me how to play a basic groove. And so growing up, I studied Ringo, so I learned how to play off of him. So when I go back and I look at like performances of me when I'm like 15 years old playing in a jazz band, I go to do this hit, and it's not just boom, it's boom. It's got that like shoulder hit. So I've always found my way. I've always just been moving like Ringo, even though that's like I'm not trying to consciously move like Ringo. It's just part of my DNA because he's my hero. I love
a groove.
And so like I don't go to McDonald's and order food as Ringo and stuff like that. Like there is that clear line of being Jason and being Ringo. But because all of the Beatles, and particularly Ringo, have been such huge heroes of mine my whole life, I definitely noticed a lot of my performing, even as a guitarist. Like, there's definitely some George Harrison in my guitar playing, and I'm not a George, but because he's been one of my big.
It's in your DNA.
I start seeing like sometimes I do like a little like, oh wait, that's a little George move there, not trying to do it or something, or even just the way like how I talk on stage has got that. I try to. Not consciously, but have that kind of Beatles humor to it. It's not as funny as the Beatles, I'll admit that. But
now, so, I mean, Jason, are you left-handed or right-handed?
I'm right-handed, but I taught myself how to play all the fills left-handed, do the swings and all those little details.
I was wondering about that because Ringo's a lefty.
Yes,
and the way he plays, it's unique.
It's weird. It's actually funny. I teach music lessons. And one of my students this past week, we just started working on Ticket to Ride. And so I'm showing him the groove, and he's getting the groove. And I was telling him, like, at the beginning, it's a left-hand fill. Instead of going, da-da-da, boom, you got to go, da-da-da, boom. And so I was like, just try it. You don't have to do it, but just try it. And he was like, whoa, that is so wacky. Like, I just can't put, like, my mind, like, together, like, how to do that. And it's such a weird feeling because I know how to how right-handed me wants to play those fills. but having to like break my brain and like, no, you got to do the sticking a little differently. Like you got to actually do 2 on this hand so you can do it how Ringo would have done it to naturally get to finish on this cymbal or something like that.
Yeah.
There's so much. It's such a big process, but that's what makes it so much fun. I love doing that.
That's the kind of dedication that we strive for. These are the little minute things that you're not going to necessarily notice explicitly, but if it's not there, you're going to know it.
You know it's not there, right?
Yeah.
And your fans will call you out on it.
Yes.
And there's a different sound, especially with those fills. If you're playing, if you play right-handed versus left-handed, if it's even just a drum roll, you can hear the difference.
Really?
You really can.
Wow. Well, that's why I always like, because I'm a rhythm guitarist myself. And so being a musician, these are the things I go, left-handed or right-handed. Now, Dom was a right-handed person naturally, but plays left-handed. Now, James, you've always played right-handed, right?
Yes.
And then, Jim, you've always been right-handed as well, correct?
Yes, well, and I'm not playing behind my head. Yes, I.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. Yes, I'm always right-handed.
Okay. Well, what's the most meaningful compliment you guys have ever received? Not from a critic, but from a fan who truly understood what you guys were trying to do. This kind of wraps into what we're talking about. We'll start with you first. James Paul, we'll start with you first.
Well, I'll tell you what, not to be cheesy. Of course, we do get sometimes people say like, you were lip syncing, you were playing a track or something, which is always funny to us when people say that. But to be honest, the most meaningful compliment is when people say, my dad took me to see this band when I was little, and maybe he's not well or he's passed away,
Right.
but I keep bringing my family, and now I have my kids, and we bring them to see you because we love the Beatles and we love the music and we love the way you do it, and it makes us feel that we remember our dad or our mom or our youth or something about the music. That kind of connection with the Beatles and their music and families and love. To me, that's what bowls me over, is when people say that, and sometimes they'll even tear up or they'll cry and they'll say, we just can't believe that you sang Hey Jude that way, or what you did with, Here Comes the Sun. Oh my gosh. I had no idea, because that's a song that's always meant something to me. That's one of those songs that people they get married to, they remember their lives. That's a big song, and people will sing that with me, because I usually do it by myself solo.
Right. Yeah.
And when we get that whole crowd, it's just me and them in that moment, and the guys are changing. It's wow, it's electric. I love that feeling. And I love when people say, hey, thanks for singing that, or I really felt that. To me, that's the biggest compliment.
How about you, Jim? What's the best compliment you've ever received from American English?
One compliment that kind of stands out for me was somebody came up to me after a show and they said, quite simply, well, thanks for bringing John back for us, and we could never replace any of them, they were fabulous and still are, but we just tried to bring back that happiness, that feeling in the music, and our love of the music shines through, and hopefully everyone feels that enthusiasm.
And it really validates all the years of hard work and passion you guys have put into this.
Absolutely, yeah, because Beatles have long been gone, but we carry on, and
that's it.
Fans.
The show must go on, right?
Yeah.
Now, Dom, how about you? What's a compliment that's stuck with you?
We did She's a Woman one time, and after the show ended, someone came up to me and said, you weren't singing that. And I was like, well, first of all, I'm here. But second of all, thank you.
It was me. I was the one that said that.
You can throw his voice,
That was
there you go.
The lip syncing comments are actually my favorites, because they don't think it's a compliment, but to us, it's like, oh, well, we couldn't have done that better then.
Right.
But I've done I've done Blackbird. We usually do Blackbird, or I usually do Blackbird during the summer months for our festival seasons.
Yeah.
And people usually come up sometimes and they say, hey, can you dedicate it to my dad, you know, who just passed away, or my son who just passed away? And I'm like, absolutely. So I do. And it always never fails. It moves them to tears. And that to me is the biggest compliment out of anything. Because again, it's such an emotional, you really kind of cross that physical barrier, and now you're in the spiritual barrier.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way of putting it too.
Yeah.
Spiritual. Very much so.
100%. Yeah.
How about you, Jason? What's one of the compliments that's really stood out for you?
I mean, I'd have to definitely agree with what everyone has said. One that was said to me very recently was someone came up to me and says, I've never seen someone capture the spirit of Ringo like you did. Like you just nailed it to a T. And that, being the new guy, that was really really special to hear. But even I look onto the audience every night, and I get to see, you know, all the different generations and get to experience this music. And it means so much to so many people and for so many different reasons. And I was one of those fans as a kid who went to go see American English like all the time in the summer. And I know how much it meant for me to see that music recreated and how much, you know, it influenced me in my life. So the fact that I can bring that, and I can see it on people's faces when we do like Hey Jude, I mean, just the emotion that I see in people's faces, that's the biggest compliment, that for 2 hours, we can take all the problems in the world away. We can just bring the best music, in my opinion, best music in the world to you, and just bringing everyone together and spread nothing but good messages.
And I honestly think too, during American English concerts, you bring the best out of the audience too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see it on the stage, right?
Everyone in the audience, all the differences aside, they're Beatles fans. Yeah. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Shut everything else out.
Yeah.
We are Beatles fans.
We're sharing that we're all sharing that together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Audience
and it's a
us,
spiritual thing,
fans of
once
the Beatles,
again.
yeah.
Absolutely. No doubt.
Yeah. Well, here it is. It's 2026. More than 60 years later, the Beatles music is still finding its filling rooms and with people of all ages.
Yeah.
Why do you think this music and this story still needs to be told in 2026? And we'll go with you, Jim.
Well, as I said, you know, the fan base is still there. You know, hundreds of years from now, there'll still be Beatles fans out there, and they want to hear the music, and they want to see the closest thing to it performed live right in front of them. You know, we could have seen the Beatles in person. We all do, you know, and we just do what we love, and we try to do it best. You know.
Well, and you know the thing is, as an audience, what you guys do on stage is magical. It crosses into the realm of magic, because for those brief moments, you feel like you're actually watching the Beatles. You're hearing the songs, you're singing along, you're visually seeing the band. You guys do all the characteristics of each individual, and it blends in so good. It's like a Broadway show. It really is.
Yeah.
So kudos on that. Now, I'm going to ask you guys this, and you can answer each. We'll start with, we'll do John, Paul, George, Ringo, okay? Hardest Beatles song to pull off live vocally.
Vocally? Vocally. Well, probably Twist and Shout.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, you want to be true to that record, but the thing is, you know, you don't want to tear yourself up. You know, we've got 2/3 of the show left to do after Twist and Shout. So if I did it true to the record, I might not have any voice left. But
right,
so
you shred
try to
your throat.
You know, as best you can. You know, do the sound justice, but not blow yourself out. You know.
You point that out. That is a really good one, because I mean, John saved that for last.
Yeah, well,
Because
his
it
voice was already
shredded the
partially
drum.
blown out, but by the time
Yeah.
he recorded that, and they saved it, and then he did 2 takes, and they took the better of the 2. And that's the
Well,
record.
That's a good answer then. Twist and shout. True John guy right there. How about you, Dom? What's the hardest song of the Beatles to pull off live for you?
Vocally? Or
Vocally.
okay. The ones that we do on the regular, I would say probably Sgt. Pepper's probably the hardest that we do on the regular.
Yeah.
You know, and thankfully that's kind of in the middle of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the hardest overall is definitely She's a Woman.
Yeah.
I'm bringing up She's a Woman again.
Yeah, see?
Not
We got to do it.
right.
Yeah. Well, and I love She's a Woman because it's got that ska feeling to it as well.
Right. It's on the offbeats. Yeah.
Yeah.
But those screamer songs are really hard to do. And again, like what Jim said, you have another 2 hours to get through. So you have to kind of take it easy and learn techniques to save your voice. Yeah, She's a
How
Woman.
about you, James Paul?
I'll tell you what, and again, I mentioned about harmony singing. That's kind of my favorite part of being in this band.
Mm-hmm.
The song "The Word" from Rubber Soul.
Yeah.
Say the word and you'll be free. Say, there is such a unique blend on that track that, and we have done the song and we've done it well, but I don't know what they tapped into on that track. There's a harmony. There's something about the blend. Maybe it was George Martin's work.
Yeah.
That is so hard to make that song sound right. And we have tried it. And I mean, not that we haven't gotten close. I'm happy with what we've done, but to my ear, they're so, oh my gosh, the way those voices blended together, those wacky Beatles. How did they do it? How did they do it? You know, there's probably others. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's another song that we've done.
I love
recently.
that song.
It's just, I mean, wow. You put that on with headphones and it blows your mind.
I agree. How about you, Jason? Hardest song pull off live vocally of the Beatles?
Well, I don't have a lot of songs vocally usually, so there's not a lot to choose from. But I'd have to probably say "With Love from My Friends," which you wouldn't think would be the hardest one. It's not like it's very high or like in a uncomfortable zone. But there's so many little details with slurs and like these weird like accents and like certain rhythms he does that for a long time I didn't even notice. But when I started really listening to every little detail, there's a lot more to unpack, and he's singing it in such a I can't think of like the right word or anything, but he's singing it so creatively, which is like not what I would have imagined Ringo to do right there, but he does something really interesting with it. There's a lot of weird little details that catch in that one. So it's always the one while I'm playing drums and having to say, now I'm thinking the most about, all right, I got to get that little accent or this little slur here, those little details like that. That's probably for me. I'd say that one.
Okay, so that's good, and it also shows you too. I like James Paul was saying. There's that magical element that only the Beatles really possessed, and the fact that you guys are always constantly working on it shows you the passion and dedication you have for the music and the fans to be as authentic as possible.
Yeah.
So, if the Beatles were to walk into the room right now, what would you guys want them to notice first about American English?
The skinny ties.
Skinny ties, okay. Jim?
Boy.
Because I know John loved Beatlemania.
They'll probably pass out on the floor if the 4 Beatles walked in.
Yeah.
That'd be funny. That would be great, right?
They're a hard act to follow, you know, and we try the best we can. It's a labor of love. We do what we love, you know.
Yeah.
Make it real for the fans.
And that you do. And you know, the weird thing is you guys make it look easy. Although if the audience only knew how many years of working and studying and redefining and maybe having doubts and hopes and working through it. And now you're at this stage, this level where it's magical for the audience. Even though you know we could work a little bit more to get closer to that sound.
Sure.
It's
Always
really
room for improvement.
and a labor of love, a labor of love.
So you learn something new every day.
Now, you know, we talk about all the fans of American English. And James, you know for a fact, whenever I host the shows, in between the costume changes and everything, I fire up the audience. But one part of the show, I always ask, is this the first time you've been here to see American English? And there's always a couple hands that go up.
Yeah.
And usually in the beginning, I'm like, oh, just you wait, because then you're going to be in for a surprise. But the fans that follow you guys, and they do follow you, they know it. And you guys got that magical part of it down like no one's business. And, you know, I really like that. Now, if someone from American English, or if someone sees American English for the first time, like we were talking about, and they leave saying one thing, what would you hope that it is? Like they sounded just like the Beatles, or man, I finally understand why the Beatles matter.
That's
James,
it.
we'll start with you first.
Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, from my perspective, I want people to leave our show and feel an appreciation for the Beatles. One of my favorite things is when a younger person who might not be that familiar with the Beatles, which is hard for any of us here to even imagine that, but it is true. And they'll come and see us. I mean, we have some young people in their teens or early 20s, and they'll come and see us, and then they come back because they can't believe it. There's something about live performance. I mean, you can put the record on, but to see a song recreated live kind of gives you a different perspective. You sort of hear it and experience it in a different way. And that's what we're all about. So when somebody who doesn't know the Beatles well comes and sees our show and says, wow, I really enjoyed that. I didn't realize how many songs I did know, or the way you brought it to life, just makes my whole day to hear that.
Absolutely. And what about you, Dom?
I think, James, you summed it up perfectly. JP, you summed it up pretty darn good. Simply put, though, I just want them to walk away happy.
Yeah.
That's it. I just want them to walk away happy and enjoy the Beatles music. That's what we're here to do.
Yeah. How about you, Jason?
I mean, again, I have to agree with what everyone has said so far. I would say also, I think it's important for people to walk out and feel like, for a lot of people like Dom and I, who are too young to see the Beatles, I think all of us were too young to see the Beatles when they were around, to kind of walk out like, that's the closest I'll ever get to see them, and these guys nailed it. If we could imagine what it was like to see them, if you could actually hear them, you know, like what would it be like? I want us to be that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. And Jim, how about you?
I'd also like to add to what James said, you know, young people just discovering that music, you know, and maybe experiencing it for the first time and in a live setting like that, and to discover, you know, what the Beatles were about with the music, the excitement, and all of that, you know. And the other thing, maybe just playing songs that are not so popular, you know, that, oh, I never heard that Beatles song before, you know. I mean, I'd buy an album and put it on, you know, like a song like Every Little Thing. That's one, you know, that I heard for the first time when I was about 14. And I was like, wow, that's great. That's, you know, just from the slide guitar at the start, you know, to the timpani percussion, and really fantastic. So just turning on people, you know, to songs they never heard before, new material. And
that's American English's shows. It's never the same show twice. I mean, you guys have such a variety that you choose from.
We have to.
Yeah.
You know,
Keeps it fresh, to say the least.
Oh yeah, James, we make a brand new set list every show.
Yeah,
every show. There's never just like, well, this is what we're doing this summer. You know, I mean, there's a skeleton to it, right? You know, you're going to do Hard Day's Night. You're going to hit Can't Buy Me Love or you know, Twist and Shout. But we will craft a different and fresh set list. And I don't care if we play 100 times in the year or 150 times. Every show will be unique in some way or another.
Right. I like that because, some tribute bands, it's the same show over and over. And I think it's hard as a band when you do the same show over and over, because people are like, oh, I've seen it like 3 or 4 times. It's always the same. Where you guys keep it fresh. You rearrange the songs, your outfits and mannerisms, and the way you guys flow on stage. It's never the same show twice. It's very customized, I should say. So that's the cool thing about an American English show. Now, I've been doing the All You Need Is Love concert series for 20 years. And James, you'll know who I'm talking about. There was this really super young girl, barely a teenager, Sam Montgomery. She used to come to the shows at the Paramount way back in the day when I first started doing this. And now she's a mother of 2. And she just texted me the other day and she goes, hey, James, this American English show, is it all ages? I'm like, you better believe it is. Bring your kids, bring your husband. I'm hoping to see you there. So they're going to be there as well. But that's the magic. Throughout the years, these little teenagers are now adults and with kids. And
they grow with us. They become family. They become friends.
They become family. That is a really good way of putting it, too.
That's American English. Now, we've played all over the world. We've been as far as Japan, and we've been to Australia and Germany and England, and all of us separately. Other bands have done that. But I would say the bulk of our shows are in the Midwest, usually around Chicagoland area. And that's part of the magic of this band, is that you're going to see the same 4 guys, or at least up you for a while, until somebody wants to retire or move on. But we're not subbing in people. This is a band. It's important to us that there's a chemistry between the 4 of us. And these are the same people that have been seeing this band since 1979, some of them, or 1982, like me, or 1998, like Jason, or whatever it is. But we've all become this family. It's an American English family. I use that term all the time.
That's a good way of putting it. And the thing is, just in my small amount of time with American English, I've seen the evolution.